Hello and welcome to this learning session on the Moore Industries Safety Triple Alarm. In this learning session we're going to be focusing on the temperature input version of the STA, and specifically we'll be looking at the input tab and all its options that are available for the user. Okay, so let's start first by looking at how this one is currently set up. It's set up for an input sensor, an RTD 4-wire, platinum 3850 100 ohm sensor. Okay, it's set for temperature degrees Celsius using a 60 hertz filter, and currently the input range is from 57 degrees Celsius to 328 degrees Celsius, and input trimming is currently disabled. So let's go back to our options here for the type of sensor that you're using. The most popular are RTDs, whether they be 2, 3, or 4-wire, or thermocouples. And you notice currently we have a 4-wire RTD, and when you select the type of sensor you have, then you get a further, you can further identify your sensor. Same thing with, let's go down to thermocouple, and now this changes to J-type, K-type, E-type, etc. So whatever's appropriate for a thermocouple input. So we'll go back. Right now we're hooked up to a 3850 100 ohm sensor, and I want my application to read in degrees Celsius. You also have the choice of Fahrenheit or Kelvin just by hitting the appropriate tab there. And over here you will set your input 0 and input full for your application. Because I changed things around, that number, you notice it went from -200 to 850 now, which is my full compliance range. So I'll do another upload of my software. It'll upload whatever's in the instrument and display it on there. Then we are back to my 57 and 328 degrees. So, and if I need to change that, you would just type in whatever you want, say 23 degrees, and 328 if you wanted, whatever's appropriate for you. So that just gets typed in there. I'm going to go back and get my original numbers back in there. Now I'm going to go down and discuss trimming. Trimming is currently disabled, but however, if you feel like your sensor is a little bit off and you have a good source whereby you can calibrate your instrument, and you might want to use a little trimming. We would do this here at Moore Industries. We would do it in a high accuracy temperature bath. So if we had a sensor that was slightly off, we could trim the instrument so they are matched perfectly. So let's just look at that now. The best type of trimming to do is 2 points, and of course the best 2 points you want are the lowest end, so which would, in my case, would be 57, and the highest end, which would be 328. Okay, and make sure after you enter your data in there, you hit the button that says set, so that'll set that data there, 57 and 328. Now I want to do a trim. So when I press the trim button, say for point number 1, it prompts me to make sure my input is set for 57 degrees, or in our case it would be a temperature bath is set for 57 degrees. And of course you can see what I was reading over here before was slightly off. So, and I still have that same input, so I'm going to say OK, and it's going to read the input, and you see 56.977. And it's going to, now we'll do both ends of it first here. We'll trim the 328 side. I'll change my input to 328 or whatever's close to it, depending on my sensor, and I'll say OK. So you see it actually reads 328.18, and so now this unit has been trimmed so that when it's receiving this temperature right here, it'll display it as a 57, and when it's reading this, which is slightly off, a little bit high on this end, a little bit low on that end, it'll read 328. So make sure after you do your trimming, you do a download, so it downloads these constants into the instrument. And there we are. Right now we're reading 328.01, which is well within the accuracy of this instrument. Okay, and there you have it. That is how to set up the input tab for the temperature input version of the Safety Triple Alarm. Thank you for listening.